Should we make our intent, state our intention for ourselves?
Before we begin?
Yeah.
Yeah. An intention of mine is to share with the world this beautiful energy we're creating together and experiencing, probably more than anything.
Yeah.
Demystify trauma, move to freedom, lightness,
Empowerment.
empowerment for sure. And
Fun.
demystify somatics a bit, perhaps.
Yeah. Bring us back to choice point so that we can respond, because that will bring what nourishes us most when we can stay in that choice point. Instead of reacting, we can feel and know the body as a gauge to that what's going to be generative for our evolution.
Speak about acting instead of reacting. And how moving through trauma aids us with that.
Yeah.
And also lightening the whole concept of trauma.
Yeah, instead of avoiding it or labeling it as something bad or something to avoid or something we wish we didn't have, we can embrace it and utilize it as helpful information, like a friend. A friend comes and can come and help us with something. I feel like our relationship with trauma can be like that. It can be like a friend. It can be a source of support.
Feedback to grow from and shift and find the mysteries within that may not be serving us and can help us to grow and move to freedom and beautiful relationships.
Relating. Yeah. First with ourself, deepening intimacy with ourself, relating to this, bringing intimacy to this, into me I see, and then into you I see, so we can relate from this place.
Share stories, have some fun, enjoy, get to know each other more through this.
Share with the world, our audiences, and expand them with the intent to be of service.
Love to introduce my audience to your work.
My audience to yours.
And to
create, for me, it's the passion to grow in global community, to establish ongoing relationships with different parts of the world so that we can all learn and grow from each other and be inspired. So this video for me is calling out to our future communities, our present and our future.
And to call that in and maybe share a bit about future ideas and thoughts and plans.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Okay.
And, presence. Be present.
Presence, yeah. Okay.
All right. Hi, it's a pleasure to be here with James. My name is Keith Motes, James Knight, and we decided to share with y'all some amazing feelings and thoughts we've been having as we just got to meet each other over the last week. And
in the physical.
Finally. We've been talking for a while on the internets, and it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and get to know you and experience you. And we wanted to share with you all some amazing inspirations and thoughts we've been having. Talk a bit about us, our work, trauma, somatics, like so many exciting topics we have in mind here.
With the guiding, leading, overarching intention for freedom, to embody it and to cultivate it and to be aware of our choice points in everyday life, through everyday activities. I feel like that's what we both have in common before meeting each other, is our value of freedom and our passion to want to invite people into that field and cultivate it for themselves as well.
Yes, we that's probably the biggest thing I feel we have in common, is this kind of wanting to be free as possible. And I feel like it's a big quality behind both of what we do in our lives, with our work and in our relationships. And yeah, it's like there's a big resonance I feel with you in that, and it's beautiful. So thank you.
Whew. Yeah, getting a nice buzz of sensation as we're talking about this. For me, freedom is the result of staying true to being present with myself and with you right now, and by staying present, then I can use my body as a vehicle to find the truth in every moment of how I'm feeling. You know, like sometimes I may not, as a personality, understand that I'm in a contracted moment, but the body knows. And so to be present, cultivating presence, then as a body, as a barometer, I can choose how to integrate that information and move in this moment and in every moment. And the result is then I have these choice points. And with the choice points, I get to experience more fulfilling moments, and I get to experience more pleasure and satisfaction in myself and in my relationship. So that's what freedom means to me.
I'd love for you to hear like what a choice point means to you.
Okay. Right now, I'm feeling my body has a lot of energy in my heart. I feel joy as an emotion of moist eyes. Like, I don't have the sensation of wanting to cry, but I can feel that my body's excited. And my voice is changing a little bit. I can hear my voice changing. And so a choice point is to stay grounded with this energy because it's very alive. So in the past, I could have created more of a mental story around it. So for me right now is to stay grounded, feel my feet on the floor.
Instead of going to your
Yeah.
head. Like, that's a beautiful
slowing down my words and enjoying feeling the feelings of excitement, because I have so much to share and I'm really enjoying being with you. As I have for the past few days. So it's a choice point for me to stay grounded by slowing my breath, feeling my feet on the ground. And I know through being these states, then I can ride with you, feeling embodied. You know, our conversation, wherever it goes. How about you? How do you experience freedom, and how is that a value for you?
I feel like more and more I'm realizing how much freedom is and has actually been a big value of mine my whole life, or at least a lot of it. And I maybe haven't realized it so clearly until lately. But when I think about it, so many things I've done or cultivated in my life have been for freedom. It feels like I got into yoga to free up my body and get more flexible and grounded and less tension. I decided in Australia, I decided to buy a van and live in it for a while so I could just be free and stay wherever I want to stay. It shows up in my relationships in so many ways. In the work I do, it's like we were talking the other day, like how much I love to have my work online, and be light with the physical items I own, so I can go here, go there, easy, and be supported financially online, and just be where I want to be, and underline it, it's like, yes, freedom. It's you've actually helped me a bit realize how much of a value that has been. So thank you for that. It's been nice. And freedom, and I think inside of me is where it matters the most, like getting rid of the tensions, the stresses, anxieties, traumas, suppressed emotions, all these qualities that may not serve us so much. Oh, I mean, they have a beautiful way to serve us, of course, which I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about. But it's like how to shift that into cultivating more freedom and peace, equanimity, tranquility, strength, flexibility, heart space, connection. Voice, activation. It's been nice.
We met each other fairly recently in Earth time. And I can speak for myself. It's such a pleasure to get to know you and to feel your value system of everything we're talking about, and to be of service to help other people also experience, offering tools, offering spaces. For you, it's a main body of your work is shaking medicine. And I was, and I am so excited to learn more, because I've learned in my life, in times where I've experienced a really intense moment, or there's a moment that allows me to release tension, that shaking is natural. And so before meeting you, having had those experiences, not knowing, not caring what it was, not needing to know what it was, but experiencing how natural it is. And so to meet you and to learn about your work, and I know that that's a major way that we can move the energy to create more space, to have more freedom.
It's been embodying shaking medicine has been one of the biggest things I feel that has freed me up over these past, quite a while now. And because what I realized was I was doing yoga and I plateaued. I was like, oh, I don't feel like I'm growing from this so much anymore.
Yeah.
And then I didn't actually realize my body was holding tensions and traumas, and it wasn't until I started things like Qigong, and then eventually got my body through all that, through deep kind of meditational states, got it into tremoring and letting go, and then starting learning more about it, and then consciously embodying that and growing in that space. I was like, whoop, my growth in that realm was started to exponentiate again. And then that's actually how I started discovering all this kind of trauma in different ways I was storing. And it's beautiful. So it's helped me have so many realizations and beautiful awakenings, and everything has been such a natural unfolding with developing shaking medicine. And to bring it back to like how we met, I remember I was doing a snowboarding season in Jindabyne, Australia, and somehow I came across your work on YouTube. I can't remember exactly. It might have been someone, I can't remember if it was someone suggesting it or if I just found it in my research, But anyway, I found it, and then I like started liking and stuff, following you, and we eventually connected, and a year later, here we are.
Here we are.
Roughly. I'd love to hear, how you, I guess, trauma played maybe, finding more freedom, let's say, helped find you to where you are today. And maybe a bit about how your gentle somatic yoga, which I'm very inspired by, I feel it's a huge inspiration, and to me, I'll speak for myself as well. And I feel like it's one of the I think it's safe to say it's the most complementary modality I've found for what I'm doing as well. I think it's pretty safe to say that, from what I've witnessed so far. So I'd love to hear about that journey too, and share with everyone.
Before we started filming, we were talking about topics about what we wanted to share, what we could share, and one was to demystify and enlighten the word trauma, the experience of trauma. So I think first it could be nice to start there.
Great idea.
For me, it's the times in my life where I've had a perceived or real life experience, a stressful life experience, and becoming aware of all the ways that I protect myself and all the ways that I guard and manage, either wanting to run away or freeze or fight. That's the sympathetic nervous system as I feel threatened, and then I do something out of reaction. And being in the healing arts for 30 years, my passion has been to educate myself and understand what happens to the nervous system and the psychology, and how ultimately, for me personally, it's a spiritual journey of remembering who I really am through the traumatic experiences, like not just identifying with the hard, challenging parts of my life, but I'm really interested how they've affected me physically and how that's limited my choice points. So for me, that's been a driving passion to understand it, is looking at my nervous system and all the interesting subconscious reflexes, the reflexes I have had that I use to either manage or avoid or fight, all those things. It's just so fascinating. So this has been like a living laboratory my whole adult life. And, when I was younger, I was bullied, and I didn't really always feel like I belonged with my biological family, even though I felt love and care. I just felt really numb from birth until I became a young adult. So having the contrast of coming into self-awareness and becoming self-aware, observing, that's what started my path. And having some significant early life experiences of being free in my body, dissolving into oneness. I was like, oh, wow. Beyond the defense structures, there's a clean vehicle here that is designed for pleasure and fulfillment and union. So how that eventually became into my work was my empathy and my compassion for people and what we're all going through, what we've all gone through. We have more in common than we have not in common, I believe. And the body is the first physical language that we all share, regardless of what, whether we speak English or French or Spanish or Portuguese, whether we're old or young, or whether we believe in something or not, we all have a body. So my passion, one of my main passions is tools to re-enliven the physical body, the muscles, the fascia, the bone, the energy body, and find the places that are holding that subconscious tension. And because that's where limitations are, can be, like that's where we don't know that we're up against not having choice points. So For me, gentle somatic yoga and somatic wellness, which is more about lifestyle, is to rediscover the parts of ourself that we left behind due to wanting surviving difficult life experiences. So an easy way to say that is like if I was in an argument with somebody and I wasn't paying a lot of attention, some of the things that happen for me is I clench my jaw, I hold in my stomach, I feel tension in my face, and that affects so many things. And if I'm not aware of it, then I hold that tension. And that's residual. So I feel like each one of us, our body is a map to our entire life experience. So in brief, my passion is to help unlock those stored, tight, tense places that are subconsciously held and release them, re-educate them, like re-educate the nervous system, repattern the muscles and come out of those contracted states and into more freer states, where I have access to be more in my body without pain or strain or postular imbalances. And when my physical body can be free, then I notice my mental body has a little easier time processing, and my emotions can stay even and balanced. And on a spiritual level, I can feel like I'm living my passion and that I'm living my joy. And so yeah, for me, the body is one way as an access to move the energy.
Well, it's all connected, the whole mind-body complex, or as you often call it, the soma. And it's beautiful. And like, for me, the way you move in gentle somatic yoga and somatic wellness, and the way you describe it now, the way you move like consciously and slowly, and the way you release tension, I'm sure that's a whole video in and of itself you could go on. But that's really one of the many things that's really resonated with, like in shaking medicine, when I get people to tune into therapeutic tremoring, which is what we're about at Shaking Medicine. The way you move is like, it's so complementary to, I feel, to help get people to access their soma and tremoring in different parts of their body.
Yeah.
I'd like to, so all of our work really is connected, and one way it's connected is through this idea of releasing trauma. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier a bit, demystifying that, or shedding some light or lightening that concept up. And I think that's important, because when I speak of trauma, I don't feel like it's such a heavy thing, but I also realize a lot of people out there take it as something really heavy or dark or bad, or they're scared of it. You know? So I'd like to maybe offer my perspective, and if you'd like to hear your perspective on maybe a bit of how we kind of view trauma. And for me, it's this sort of energy that we can store in our soma, and it can be from so many different things, from little stressors in our life, like traffic we're in, or relationships, physical accidents. It can be being around someone who's really emotionally stressed out or something, or acting out on you, or infinite possibilities. Ultimately, to me, it's a kind of tension or charge stored in our body somehow that it's almost like, it's a sympathetic related phenomena, or a sympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, or freeze. And to me, like this, almost when we say these things store within us, one way I look at it is like it's something frozen there. It's like this freeze response, and that's, to link it to what you were just talking about, it's how it can kind of become subconscious, and we don't know it's there. It kind of gets frozen under the surface, and through different somatic body-based works, we can use the body to start unraveling that and unlocking it. And most people think of trauma as like something really big that's happened to us, like war, rape, like really intense things like this. But it can, for me, and my understanding of it, it could also be like the accumulation of many small stresses, and that can cause the same impact on our soma that like one big near-death experience or something can cause. So for me, when I hear trauma, I've gotten to the point where I feel like I've released so much of it that it's and kind of knowing how to release it, it's fun, it's pleasurable, it can be, it's not, so for me in that way, understanding it or thinking about it in this way lightens it up a lot, because it's something that can bring me pleasure. It can help me grow, and in that growth find freedom, which is a big value of mine. And it's so beautiful. I'd love to hear any thoughts you have on that, James.
I'm just enjoying feeling you right now while you're talking about it. My stomach feels happy experiencing you express. So I'm just kind of taking some time
Expression.
with that.
It helps me find more expression, like growing through the trauma, stresses, anxieties. It's enjoyable.
I remember before I met you, I personally had a pretty traumatic 2.5 years being in a romantic relationship. And it was the first time, because I've done a lot of work on myself, that while the stressful life experience was happening, I was really able to witness how the body was reacting. And so demystifying it for me was allowing the sensations to be there. And they weren't pleasurable at all. They were difficult. They were painful. Shortness of breath, lack of sleep, tight sore muscles, fear, like wanting to run away. So in my most recent challenging trauma experience, witnessing what my body does, then I was able to see, oh my gosh, I have reacted like this for a lot of my life. I think about other life experiences, and I all of a sudden realize that there's a signature for me for stress. And so it was enlightening. You use the word to lighten up. Is that I think I've been ashamed or embarrassed the times I've been in challenging life experiences, and I just want to cover it up, and I don't want to show that part of myself. So part of my process has been to realize, no, this is part of the process. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's very human. It's really amazing that our body knows what to do to protect ourselves on a very primitive level. It's what we do through it and after, it's through the whole process that I find that now, leading back to you with your work, like I have seen there's been times where when I allow myself to like move the energy after discharge or integrate, I have found that that's what my body likes to do. So, and then when I'm working with my clients and my students, I've seen it plenty of times, and I didn't have a language to describe what was happening. So it's been a real pleasure to meet you and to witness your work. And how you've shared with me how natural this is, that humans and animals, this is a natural thing to do. So
yes, therapeutic trimming, it's so natural. Animals do it in the wild. They go into sympathetic fight or flight. Maybe they're running away from the tiger or whatever, and if they get to safety, during that sympathetic response, they'll go into fight, flight, or if they get caught, probably the freeze response, pretending they're dead. There's actually a video on my website, shakingmedicine.com, where that exact thing is happening. It's so cool. There's this leopard who catches an impala, has its neck in its jaws, and it's just like playing dead. And then these baboons chase this leopard away, and the impala realizes it's safe, and then it starts like going, it starts churning, and then after a little while, pops up and it like prances off like nothing happened. And yeah, that's a simple way to understand how it's a very primitive and natural response. And I found it in my body to be that. It helps me shift pretty much every day still. And although I feel clear and clear, and I feel like I kind of need it less and less, but like when something comes up, it still helps me shift that. And yeah, like ever since I found your work, yeah, it's like, I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful, so complimentary. And it's been a passion, so yeah.
I'm tying some things together right now that you and I haven't talked about yet.
Oh yeah. I like the present and the moment.
See how this feels. So in general somatic yoga, we don't focus on stretching. We do get into body shapes where the body is temporarily stretching, but the main technique is pendiculation. And pendiculation is actually choosing an anatomical focus, like let's say the bicep, and intentionally engaging and enlivening that muscle group, witnessing it, sensing it, feeling it, slowly releasing it, and then letting go of all muscular effort. So in the natural world, we see it all the time. So we see this animals, cats, dogs. If you have cats, dogs, or pets, they're sleeping. The first thing they do is they start hugging in, moving their limbs out, and then babies in a crib, they're doing the same thing. They wake up and their arms and their legs are just starting, but they're squeezing and they're releasing. They're squeezing and they're releasing. And so in general somatic yoga, we created a technique. Well, it actually started before general somatic yoga, through Thomas Hanna and Moshe Feldenkrais, but I've added some things with general somatic yoga. My point being is that the function for pendiculation is to prepare the body to move. If you look in the dictionary, that's the primitive impulse to pendiculate. So the aha moment I'm having right now, so let me continue to expand that just a little bit more. So through choosing somatic movement flows, we can repattern the resting length of a muscle in its longest position. And that's the most efficient, and that's where we can have our most strength and the most coordination, is when muscles in their most optimal length.
They're in equilibrium.
Yeah. So they can function. We have choice points. So that's pendiculation. And the aha moment I'm having, give me your feedback, is that tremoring tones the nervous system. Like there's lots of function of tremoring, that it can move excess energy, but I feel also that it prepares the nervous system. Then after the shaking, there's like a rebalancing for the whole system. So there's it's like a tune-up, maybe. Is this resonating?
So I have so much to add to that. That's so in alignment for me. One way to look at it is, it's like a system reboot. It's like a defrag for your nervous system. And I love that you brought pendiculation into it, because I think this kind of starts to tie it all together with the whole realm of like somatic movement as a whole. And for me, like the idea of therapeutic trimming, of being able to pendiculate and kind of move and stretch in the way you convey in GSY, general somatic yoga. It all, in a way, it's like learning to develop this like deep, like get in touch with your like inner animal, your deep instinctive intelligence, or as you like to call it, your somatic intelligence. And so doing any of these helps us be able to do the others more easily, I feel. But again, so how does that connect it, at least in my mind, is what I've discovered. The first somatic thing I've really embodied has been therapeutic trimming. And in that process, as the body tremors, and it's less, not so much of the mind, it's a feeling of the soma. And it'll kind of, as we cultivate enough of a relationship with it, it really more and more starts to move us how we need to be moved to heal. And one thing that happens is
I'm getting a lot of chills right now.
Well, tremoring is contagious. Y'all might be starting to tremor just watching this. But what happens is we start to, at first, from what I've seen and experienced, is that tremoring is kind of a bit all over the place. It's aharmonic. It might be a bit like Morse code, like like it's not smooth. It's not rhythmic. It's working out the tensions and the kinks, and usually we store tensions not symmetrically. So it makes sense that one side of the body might shake more than the other, for example. But what happens, I found, is like our body is like a beautiful instrument, and once certain like pathways clear, then what happens is the tremoring might kind of naturally shift or transform into like maybe like a wave. Like, so it becomes smooth, and then that might happen for a while, and then you might tune into some deeper layer of tension, and then it starts going like a bit kind of off rhythm again, which there's no right or wrong. It's a beautiful when it does both. And then another thing I've noticed it does for me, bringing it back to pandiculation, is where you get so present, it'll start to it might like move us into like, like it's not of the mind. You couldn't do that by thinking about it. It's full feeling, and all of it complements each other in my mind because it grows our intuition, our somatic intelligence, and it's just that's kind of how I'm seeing it, and it's perfect. It's beautiful.
I was inspired to want to ask you and talk to you about that, what you just said next, because I think you and I are comfortable talking about, the therapeutic reasons for, moving into these somatic practices. And we often talk about, life experiences that have caused this clog or this blockage, and we're intending to free ourselves. So right now I'm inspired thinking about the future soma, like, for those of us that are doing the work, then there's a lot we can experience now, but what is the future soma? Like, so we've learned these practices, and the word attunement came, like toning, like that was what came in my mind. Like, I just saw how shaking medicine can tone the nervous system and prepare the nervous system for other states, more ranges of emotions and possible life experiences. And through attuning, the body, the physical body, the nervous system, the energy body, then we can look forward to deeper states of fulfillment and pleasure. Like, I think that's the reward is unraveling and unwinding and repatterning, toning, so that we can explore more of ourselves.
That is indeed the reward, is more pleasure and life, more being free, and aches and pains just kind of melt away. And the emotions can come through too. Like if we have anger in us or sadness, like through these processes, if we allow it, if we get out of our own way, that's a natural thing to unravel and unfold as well.
We were talking about in the car, we've been having fun adventures over the past several days, and that we're using the word trauma because a lot of us are familiar with that word. Contraction, blockage, all the habits that may not serve us are byproducts of trauma. So we know all that. So using the physical body as a barometer, we can accept those life experiences. Like for me personally, I'm not going to avoid being uncomfortable. Like I can pretty much expect that into the future, something's I'm going to be in life experience where I'm going to experience contraction. So it's the choice point to be with it, how my body's expressing, and let the energy move. For me, that's what I like to help guide my students through and clients, is that don't avoid it, don't judge it, don't block it, and don't do any of those things. Just be aware with an attitude of discovery and wonder. Like, oh, wow, look what's happening right now. I think we can be both. I call it witness consciousness. We can be the observer and we can be present. So that's what I'd like to cultivate in partnership with you, is experiences where people can go through the whole wave of it. That's kind of how I see life. Is part of the wave is expansion and joy and fulfillment and ease, and then part of the wave is like rough and tumble and like heavy and like blah, and so for me, I just know that life is like that. So if I can stay in my comfortable zone, knowing what my high can feel like, and then my low, that I'm conscious of the wave. So I think my inspiration right now is that I'm not going to pretend that life will not be difficult or that I won't experience pain. But I have enough skill now where I can be with myself and be with the energy and come back to a choice point sooner than later. So it might be shaking. Next time I'm in a stressful life experience, I might just start shaking. Like that. But that's a choice point to run the energy, or I might, you know what I mean? So I guess I just wanted to share and see what you felt about that, because I don't want to be a teacher or a person saying that, bliss and joy and love and expansion is, this is what we're all wanting to achieve. I don't. That's not my truth.
That resonates with me. The ways of life, and sometimes will definitely be harder or easier than others. We'll have more like, yay, like happy moments, more like beautiful things happening in our lives. And then other times, maybe a loved one dies or someone breaks up with us. Or, there's hard times. Yeah. And I think within those ways, over an overall trajectory, as if you choose to look at it in like a spiritual way of like following that path, probably it will, on average, get easier and easier, but it'll still oscillate. And I think that's within, say, like, if you have a sort of somatic practice, within that itself, I think it's important to go with the waves. Like, speaking, especially to taking medicine and therapeutic tremoring, when someone's embodying that, it's actually the perfect representation, because ideally, what I like to share and teach is get someone into the place of embodiment with it, that they've built such a strong relationship with it, that they can really start to more and more, ever more, allow it to move them instead of them trying to move it or relying on me to help them move it. But what happens within that, and I imagine there's some resonance with what you do as well, what happens within that embodiment is these natural waves. So sometimes the waves might be like, whoa, ecstatic, like shaking. And sometimes it might bring one into deep meditative stillness. And then eventually it might come back out of that. But the idea isn't that I'm thinking that, now I need to meditate. Now I need to ecstatically dance or lightly tremor. The idea is that my body's moving me to what I need to do. Maybe lately, doing more of your work and practicing your classes and stuff, it's been spontaneously moving me into some of the stuff I've experienced in your classes. So it's like sometimes that's another piece of it. Sometimes we do need to logically, actively, learn new things or try new things out for it to kind of become an awareness within us. And then also having the spontaneous intelligence of allowing what we need to unravel or to happen. Then those things happen more and more. a beautiful example that I'm thinking right now is, if you've done yoga, you'll probably have heard of this at least. Something called breath of fire, and there's different versions of that. I have a version I've kind of coined in shaking medicine called spontaneous breath of fire, where essentially you're just tremoring and you're so relaxed, and the muscles in your abdomen or your intercostals start to access the tremoring. And then you're so relaxed that influences your breath. So without trying to do breath of fire, you spontaneously start to do it. And the effects and the benefits, from my experience, are on a whole nother level than actively forcing it. And I mean, they both have benefits. Just like voluntary shaking has lots of benefits, but involuntary shaking or therapeutic tremoring has a whole another deeper level of benefits. So yeah, yes to it all. It's beautiful.
I'm having another
one.
Yeah. Let's try this on.
Yep.
So my experience, that the closest word I can use to life is movement. All of life is moving. So as a quantum physicist, you're studying the smallest particles. So everything is, even at the smallest level, there's movement, right?
Vibration.
Vibration.
Literally shaking.
So in a flight response, on a primitive level, we reflexively shut down. Right? Like ultimately the goal is to protect the heart, protect the guts, the reproductive organs, get as small and still. So it's interesting that that's a reflex to slow down movement or to stop movement temporarily. I'm just curious right now. I'm just kind of opening this up. And so the ultimate of movement is tremoring, right? Like, so I'm just seeing this now as like a new way to name life is movement.
Vibration.
So I'm having this enlightenment right now of, you're sharing, like, move, just let your own body find a way to express itself. So in general somatic yoga, somatic wellness, same thing, pendiculation to prepare the body to move, to clear the blockages so that the life force can connect more parts of more systems, so ultimately it could be more fulfilling, pleasurable movement. But in both cases, the intent is movement, conscious movement, maybe involuntary movement, but it's still conscious.
What this is bringing up for me right now is this idea that our cultures seem to be suppressing this movement and this expression. Yeah. And as babies, you were talking earlier, babies, they haven't been conditioned out of it yet. Yeah. So they're doing pendiculation. They're tremoring. I see them tremor as well to add to that. I have a brand new nephew who's now 6 months old, and I've been spending some time with him, holding him, seeing him in his crib, and I've seen him do all these things naturally, unfiltered and unprogrammed. And as we grow up, it seems like our parents or school teachers, etc., they're like, a common example is like tapping your leg under the table. That's a somatic movement. It's releasing. It can be releasing just tension and stress in the body, anxiety in the nervous system. But what do people say? Stop that! It's annoying me because they're stressed out, and the being in the field of someone clearing is almost triggering to others who have that tension and they're not doing that sort of thing. That's one theory I have on it anyway. But nonetheless, that kind of suppression from a young age of expression and movement and other ways too, and voice and sounds, and it kind of makes us contract and contain, and
Not kind of. It does.
Oh, it's, yeah, it totally does.
Well, that's where, like, anywhere in the body that's holding stiffness, or any part of the body that's not flexible, any part of the body that's not aligned with gravity moving through us, is blocked energy where the body has stopped. And that's what happens on a physical level. When we experience stressful life experiences, the body, it physically wants to the muscles. Like, if there's pain in my body right now, the instinct would be to contract and protect. Mm-hmm. If I hurt my back gardening, then I would want to be really careful. If I was unconscious, I would be moving in a way to not create any more pain. So in my work, I encourage movement at the time even of an injury. In this case, I'm talking about an injury. That in a safe way, that's the last thing that you might want to do, is to protect and hold.
And never move it at all.
And yeah, because I've seen so many people that have whiplash that have come in. A lot of clients or students that find me there, they're in pretty challenging physical life experience. They're in a challenge with their physical body because it's frozen. Mm-hmm. So where am I going with this? That just to demystify again stress, that there, for whatever reason, the reflex is to hold, and so to bring space back to the body, energetically, physically, neurologically. Then I can see how our love and passion can be supportive, because ultimately that's what I want to do with the people I work with, is to help remind them that they can let go, that they can open again.
Mm-hmm. It's safe.
It's safe, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's subconscious. We don't know what we're holding. Mm-hmm. We don't remember how to not hold. And so that's why a lot of people get frustrated when chiropractic and acupuncture and massage and even yoga isn't still getting to the roots of the discomfort, the blocked energy. Mm. So that's one of my passions, is to help turn on parts of the brain that will help bring voluntary control back. And I feel like the spontaneous shaking and tremoring also can help the soma remember, bring back memory. Is that true?
Yeah, totally true. Yeah. It's helped me. It's helped many people I've worked with, and now other teachers of shaking medicine. It feels like every day I'm getting some feedback from them, which is just keeps my heart going. It's really empowering and beautiful to hear these testimonies. It fills me up with life force to keep going and trusting the flow and the process. And yeah, I'm so passionate about it all. Awakening humanity and helping people. Yeah. This stuff needs to be taught in our schools. If kids learn this at a young age, they wouldn't find themselves as an adult like stiff and in trauma. If they learned how to let this stuff go the moment it comes in, just like animals, the moment they're in a safe space, like maybe back at home with their family or in their bedroom or something, it's like, because it's so much easier to maintain a free body than to get really stuck and then try to free it again. Like it's a journey, I think, for most people to go from an extremely tense, kind of traumatized place to very free. And I'm sure some people do it quick and easy, maybe. My journey is it's been a journey. It hasn't been like, oh, I'll do this and then it's gone. It's like I didn't start my kind of spiritual process until early 20s. So imagine if I started when I was 4 or 5 or 7 or something, how much easier it would be. Like it would have been like a little bit of doing this stuff, and then I'm there, and then it's just about maintaining it. But I still feel I'm still happy I started at my early 20s instead of maybe much later in life. But no matter where you are in life, I feel you find more freedom and flow and peace just to start unraveling those tension layers, those charges in your nervous system, that frozen stuff, and even a little, for me at least, a little bit of a better quality of life makes a massive difference in my life. So I feel very blessed to have had the experiences I've had so far, to know what I know, and I feel very excited to find more freedom and to learn more things and to have many more great experiences in the future. Hopefully some of those are with James. I'm excited about the potentials here.
So compatible.
And maybe some of you as well watching. So yeah,
I'm inspired right now to try something on. So we each have come with a lot of life experience. I wonder if there's anything practical that we can offer to anyone who might be viewing this, like bringing it down to some helpful tips or suggestions to make it digestible right now, today, tomorrow.
Like something they could try out, a practice or something? You're thinking more?
I'm looking like holistically, like trying to think of something that's happened to me in the last 24 hours where I made a choice point to kind of like bring it back to simple,
I don't know if this quite fits what you mean, but I would love to share something that I've found that's deeply inspired me since I've been here.
Okay.
And you'll love it.
Okay.
I was, moving some energy, doing some therapeutic trimming, and something happened, a certain reflex within me, and you can try this on in a more active, voluntary way as well. I was trimming, and our nervous system, like I was saying earlier, it'll move us in ways we need to be moved to heal. And what started happening was this started like having some kind of release, and it was like yum 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 yum. And then I was just in a place of no thinking, and you're probably looking at me, feeling that energy, and for me it was like, oh, that's the first movement really a baby does when they're born, is that and that came spontaneously, and it felt so good, because I think I want to call it the baby reflex or something like that. And I'm definitely going to bring it to my classes more. What's funny is a teacher, a year or so ago, a shaking medicine teacher, he's combining it with her vocal lessons and her singing and stuff, used a similar sound to that in her vocal warm-up. And I mean, I thought it was cool at the time, but it didn't really resonate until I had the spontaneous experience of it. And to go to speak to it more deeply, it feels like it's like relaxing those muscles of the jaw and the throat, and there's so many nerves that run through there. And energy lines, meridians, nadis, if you're into the yogic or Taoist systems. And so yeah, that was something I wanted to share during this talk. And
I'm glad you remembered because it impacted me to experience you. First, I was just holding space, not just, I am holding space. And it affected my nervous system. It produced a relaxing effect, being with you. And then, so we've been trading body work with each other, and it's been wonderful. And so when you were offering a session to me, I found myself going yum yum yum, and so for me it was like yum yum yum. It was
contagious or something.
Well, I mean, it was a different time. I was just trying it on because I was experiencing so much opening and so much pleasure. The yum 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 yum. It allowed me to take in more pleasure because how you were showing me and inviting me into spaces. The yum, yum, yum was like, yeah, like yum, take it in more. Like, like I just wonder how much in life we stop ourselves to not, like we only take in just enough, you know. So you've given me permission through this new, I don't know, what do we call it, a
Spontaneous
technique? I don't
awakening.
know. That I've been trying it on, and it's like, yeah, yum, 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 yeah. It changes. It brings lightness. So thank you for remembering.
And it goes well with pleasure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like
yum.
take it in, take it in. It's like,
Well, it doesn't have to be that particular one. It could be like any sounds, like you know, any like
moaning.
It might be kind of like
Yeah.
angry sounding sounds. But I
Yeah.
think another point we wanted to make was that the releasing of these tensions, even if it's crying, sadness,
Oh, yeah,
anger,
it's true.
there's a deep pleasure in that, in my experience, and we don't have to be afraid, because for me, letting that stuff go, even though it can be uncomfortable in the moment, or you know, at least on the other side of that, I find it's always way more pleasure on the other end, and letting that go, there's more freedom. And so me personally, and I think like you, when I have a chance to face an uncomfortable situation or a trauma in my body, I'm like, bring it on, because I know once I resolve that, there's more freedom and expression to be had. So I love it. Love it.
Can I expand that?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm feeling like you gave an example. What was authentic to you that you brought movement to an experience that enhanced more movement. Is that one way of saying it?
With the
Yum yum yum. Yeah.
yeah, because
I witnessed you.
I was just getting out of my way, and then it kind of like it just the energy, it, like on an intuitive level, that it said, oh, there's some tension here in your jaw and stuff, and then you know, just without thinking about it, just started maybe like that, and then the sound started at something like that. You know, it's how it evolved.
Yeah,
it was a happening. It wasn't a thinking.
Right. Exactly.
But you know, we can now, like, I say a warm up, and if I'm warming people up into their bodies, I could use it as part of the warm up, and then this area gets a bit looser, which helps the overall relaxation, and thus eventually be able to move deeper into the process. So it works both ways. It's not linear, it's circular, you see. It's and this is actually a whole nother topic, but Indigenous people often tend to think way more circularly than us modern kind of westernized cultures, which has been realizing that, and a bit about how they see the world has been very helpful for me. And I like to bring that philosophy into shaking medicine. And it feels like it serves it well. Yeah.
So I would like to offer, sometimes we're in situations that we may not be able to go into these deeper spontaneous movements. Thinking of, like, you know, what if you're in the front row of a wedding and, you know, the intention is to focus, you know, to bring our attention, you know what I mean? Like, there could be life experiences that we may not be able to just, you know, you know, or the yum, 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 you know. Well, you could, but yeah. So what I would like to offer is that, is to heighten self-awareness of the impulses, and maybe sometimes they don't have to be big in the moment. We can just be aware of sensation, you know, aware of the tenseness in the face, or the tightness of the lips, or the swallowing, or, like you said, tears. That was one of the things that I experienced the last couple of days. There was a moment in our experience together hanging out where I was just, tears were just flowing, and, you know, I just didn't stop it. You know, I might have grabbed some tissue to make it more comfortable as it was dripping down my face, but I would like to offer that if we can learn to slow down and to recognize that there is movement through the body, and we express that through sensation, that we can, just by watching it without changing it, can create profound results, keeping us in a neutral state, keeping us in a choice point. So in that moment, at the very minimum we can do is to honor ourselves by honoring the sensation. And then maybe it's later that we can come home and move it, So I just wanted to offer that as well, that it can be our own private internal experience if we're sensitive enough to commit to allow the energy to keep moving and flowing.
I love it. That's so important. And it reminds me actually of something you mentioned earlier, where it actually is a important, natural, instinctive mechanism as well to be able to store things in our body, right? Because imagine we see a tiger and then we're just like, oh, it's going to eat us, right? No, we need to be like, right? So same thing for at the wedding, or we're on an airplane maybe.
Right.
We need, actually a skill to be able to do that. And then use other techniques like maybe a gentle breathing practice, or mentally scanning the body, like staying in the body. But, and it's a skill to build in a way to store it. Although I feel most of the time you ought to be able to find yourself somewhere safe within a reasonable amount of time so you can let it go. Because we really don't want to hold, in my opinion, these things too long. But it is important to have that part of it as well, that side of it. But almost everyone has that easily. Most people seem to don't have the skills to really somatically move it through the body. And I think that's really, what we're focusing on mostly in our work. Yeah. But both are important, and I love that you offered that, because that's very important to realize as well.
I personally like it. I mean, I enjoy when being with you, where you've given yourself permission to.
Oh yeah, I feel 100%
it's
safe
awesome.
with this
so
guy.
You can just
do
the yum whenever you want.
I personally feel really safe in most places to just be me, and that might be trimming.
Yeah.
I've been on the beach with like hundreds of people around me. I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that. If you're not comfortable with that, don't. Wait, go home, be in a private space. Everyone will have their own, level of what they're comfortable with. And when I teach, I don't teach in those kinds of spaces for sure, because I want my students to be as comfortable as possible. But me personally, maybe my threshold of what I'm comfortable in might be more than most people, perhaps. Yeah. Ooh.
I'm really appreciating the word that's coming up for me right now is diversity. We each have different paths, and as long as we're alive, we're questing more life. I believe we're designed to not just survive, but to thrive. And that instinct is what we all have in common, even plants and animals, Gaia, the earth itself. So for me, it brings me comfort to tune into how we each express, the diversity of how life shows up. And learning our voice, our message, and learning our own wave, or you called it a circle. And for me, it's the same thing, spiral, circle, wave, is, finding out, because everybody's at a different stage in life. And so right now I'm just enjoy witnessing you and feeling how you've been expressing and honoring that, and then feeling myself. And my own wave and what feels authentic and true for me. And so I guess I felt like I wanted to share that, that wherever you're at is just in time.
It's perfect.
Yeah, like whatever is in the moment, we know something is true because it is, you know? So starting off, even the smallest, is we always have the breath. That as long as we're alive, we have the breath. So, you know, maybe that's where a person starts, is just witness the breath. You know, is it full? Is it holding? Is it? I notice that you and I breathe deeply a lot. So that's like the most simplest thing. And you know, it's the most simplest way to move is to follow and be with the breath.
And it's so simple, but for me, it's been one of the most inspiring awareness or pieces to put my awareness on than almost anything. And I bring it into everything I do in life, really. It's with me, and at any moment coming back to that, even if I'm running or I'm teaching a class or I'm talking about the breath within therapeutic trimming or anything. Yeah, it's a powerful piece for me. Sounds like it has been for you too. And breath awareness, even the simplest bit of an offering, like, are you breathing fully, efficiently? I like to use that word. Like,
me too.
It's like efficient breath is really, I feel, how we want to naturally be breathing. Like, not short, shallow chest breath, but like full, expansive, utilizing the full capacity of our lungs sort of breath. And there's lots of information on how to achieve that, but simply, we can just kind of bring our awareness to it and relax our whole body, and then it'll start to naturally happen more and more. I feel, what else? Maybe we could talk about some future inspirations. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we must be synced up psychically because I was wanting to bring back around the topic of freedom because we started with it, and so I was going to suggest or offer like a summary, like to what we opened with that, and it would be interesting to see if we could close with that for the video, and then that opening to future creation.
Perfect.
So what I'm realizing right now, while I'm sitting here with you breathing, and we're in the desert, so I'm looking out and I'm seeing this beautiful, expansive view with these mountains and trees and birds flying by. What I'm experiencing right now is that freedom can be found in every moment, like even in moments of sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight or freeze. That I'm having a aha moment of like, even in that state of holding blocking, I think we could hold the possibility of freedom. That we don't. In other words, I want to give myself permission not to wait till I do anything. Shake, move, pendiculate. Like I'm recognizing that the deepest way I could love myself is to believe in that my life force in any state.
That reminds me of it's like cultivating a relationship with your sympathetic nervous system. Well, if you're comfortable being in fight, flight, or freeze, like having that ability to kind of regulate that, like knowing, oh, okay, I'm not in a safe space to let move it, maybe, or like scream, maybe you need to scream or whatever it is. It's like there's the freedom. It's just that realization of like, oh, I know I need to hold this right now. I know how to let it go. I'll choose to let it go a little bit later. That's what's resonating with you then. That's beautiful.
Yeah, like we don't have to wait. I think that a lot of people that come to me for support oftentimes the mind is geared up. Well, I have to read the book. I have to take the workshop. I have to do more education. I have to do something to get to the something. And I'm just realizing right now, no. I mean, yes, those things can help, of course. I love to learn and all those things.
Me too.
And right now, being in your presence, I just feel like in every moment I can choose to be free, because I can witness and I can allow what is.
And there's lots of freedom in observing, being the witness, and not being attached or not being avoidant, maybe. Actually, a big thing that we've been talking about is this concept in improvisation, this yes and concept. And what it does is when you're playing these games in improv, you have to be free to do it, essentially. That's another way to put it, is to be with someone with whatever they're saying, because that yes and concept basically means that whatever someone inputs into the field, you say yes to and you add to it. You never say no to it and take away from it. And so to do that in and of itself, you have to be present, and in a way that's freedom. To not be even 5 seconds planning what you're going to say when they're done. That takes you out of it in and of itself. You have to. That's the beauty of improv. It's one of the funnest things I've ever done. So, and it's one of the things that's made me laugh more than anything, because of that state it brings everyone in. So yes, improv has been very present while I've been here. Yes.
The words presence. Presence helps us stay in this dynamic moment. Even if it's stillness, there's still a relationship with the now, with what is. And the creation is the and. That's what I just got right now when I was...
Yes.
It's like being fully present to yes, this is, and is the impulse to create. Yeah. And so for me, pleasure or freedom is in a dynamic dance of co-creating with other people. So that's what I look forward to with you and other somatic practitioners, but specifically you, because we're here to tap into what can we add. Where is our and?
Yeah.
Where's our and going to be? And one of the visions that I have for us is to create workshops or retreats. We haven't talked about this yet. Well, a little bit. I would like to, with you, is to find a really beautiful spaces in which we can create a sacred container and practice these concepts, create experiences where we can learn, where we can facilitate, but always when we facilitate, we won't learn, right? So it would be wonderful to put together a retreat or a workshop or both, and explore these topics and bring it into an embodiment, and continue shining the light on these subjects, and learn from who's attracted to be with us.
Oh, yes.
So learn from each other, learn from ourselves. So that's what I envision, is make it conscious playgrounds to move with pleasure and freedom and the yes and.
I resonate with that. I'm down for that co-creation. And I can imagine it in so many beautiful places
Me too. I'm
around
having
the world.
flashes right now. I'm seeing igloos and northern lights. I'm seeing jungle, beaches, and tropical everything. Mountains, skiing, snowboarding.
Yeah, we share a lot of the similar favorite hobbies too. It seems like snowboarding and outdoors adventures.
Choosing more life, choosing conscious life. Like, I feel like that for me, I would want that to be one of our themes, is since we all have an instinct to thrive, then how can we enhance our already that instinct?
And for me, one of my, it's kind of like collaborative visions is how can our modalities complement each other, and how can like the way you get people to move, how can that possibly, that be integrated with trimmering and vice versa? It's like even on that level, I'd love to. Because it really meant it when I feel what your classes, the way you cue and move, it's super complementary to how I like to get people to tune into therapeutic trimming from the beginning. So there's another level, and then I'm sure, even beyond retreat level, like whole sanctuary levels maybe or something. Collaborations.
Music, dance, food, ritual, ceremony.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. Yum, 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 yum. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Come play with us.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful. Thank you for watching.